Hello, everyone, and welcome to the TB&J podcast. This is a new thing we're trying. It's a new form. We're going to do video game stuff because to go
because we're fucking nerds.
We are fucking nerds. And to go way back to the beginning of the creation of the idea of TB&J, it was going to be me and Troy. There was never going to be a Chris. There was never going to be a D. And we were trying to figure out if we wanted to do movies or video games.
And we've regretted their addition ever since.
Me too. I regret my addition as well.
Yes. Yeah, don't we all? But we were going to do video games or movies, and at the time I was working like 95-hour work weeks, so I was like, movies are easily consumed, so let's just do that. And that's how it kind of started.
Also, if we do video games, we had to do every video game or like really dedicate to one of them. And...
Yeah, it was just gonna be a shit show. But we figure, let's give the video game thing a shot. So Troy and Chris are with me today. No D, he doesn't play video games aside from fucking Marvel Snap, but I don't count that.
Yeah, could you imagine playing Marvel Snap, loser?
I understand the appeal of mobile games because, like, I'm a guy who like everybody brings their phone in the bathroom with them, right? I play chess, and chess is wonderful. Or I'll watch Gotham Chess on YouTube, and he'll teach me about the fucking London opening and how it's great, and then another video about how it's trash.
You'll obviously remember it every time when you go to play and not fuck it up every time.
Oh, I do fuck it up every single time.
But
you
Jeff,
don't need to tell anybody that.
Jeff,
yeah.
Do you know about Il Vaticano?
No.
That's a meme on Anarchy Chess.
Oh, I see. No.
It's where you get double teamed by two priests in a closet.
Oh,
Jesus! Holy shit!
Is that what they call it when two bishops are attacking?
This is the debut of this podcast. Or I guess it's
so sorry.
So this is gonna be. So we have TB&J proper, which is our film and TV review. We have TB&J Eats, where I make Troy and D eat a bunch of really awesome stuff. Let me tell you, it's so great, isn't it, Troy? You can tell me.
I honestly miss that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fine. You can miss it for the both of us. We can send it to you if you want.
And this will be another spin-off called TB&J Plays. And we'll talk about stuff we're playing, stuff that's coming up, stuff we're interested in, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. It's a video game podcast. Sit back and relax and enjoy.
You know what video games are? That's it. We're doing.
You know what video games are? Great, awesome.
That's what this is.
Sit down and listen, and you'll fucking love it. So, I will start. Why not? So, what have I been playing recently? Well, I'll tell you what I've been playing recently. I recently finished all the endings of Cyberpunk 2077 on my Xbox Series X. And let me fucking tell you, this game, I was super hyped for it when it was announced, watching all the promotional material, fucking Keanu Reeves coming out with a fake arm and sunglasses.
And
I was like,
came out perfect.
I was like, sign
First
me up.
try.
Don't.
No,
fucking,
I was just trying to.
don't take the wind out of my sails. I'm getting to it.
I was just enthusiastic for you.
You stole my thunder, you bitch. You beat me to the punchline. It launched and it was very shaky. It was very buggy. It was very broken. It straight up didn't work on the Xbox One and PS4. And it was just a really big, hot mess of a game. But it's been a couple years. They've put out a lot of patches, a lot of free DLC, and it runs fine. It runs fine. There's a couple minor hiccups, but like nothing game-breaking, nothing terrible. I was able to finish all the side quests. I was able to get to the end of each of the endings and see all the different possible outcomes for V and Johnny Silverhand. And I gotta fucking tell you, Cyberpunk 27 might be my favorite game I've played in the last year. It's so fucking good.
What's the competition though? Because I feel like I haven't really bought a whole lot in the last like year.
I will tell you. So for video games,
spoiler for my place. Section.
Yeah, right. You're gonna buy Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
I am excited for a lot of stuff coming out.
Yeah,
I am not.
Which we'll get to in the second part of the podcast. But honestly, the last time I felt this way after like playing and completing a game was Red Dead Redemption 2, which is one of the very few 10 out of 10s in my head. There is Red Dead Redemption 2 is a 10 out of 10. Portal 2 is a 10 out of 10, and Super Mario Galaxy 2. And I think that's honestly like it. Every other game, I can find at least a flaw or a chip in the armor to take it down to a
Not
9.
like an Arkham game for you. That's interesting for me.
No, none of the Arkham games.
Yeah, I
would
would
be
have
a 10 out of
expected
10.
a Batman game.
I want to give them 10s out of 10s as just the nerdy part of
City's pretty good.
City's pretty good, but it's got a couple things that bring it to a 9 for me. Either an 8 or a
But
9.
Jeff, how did you feel about Arkham Knights?
I haven't played Arkham Knight
Gotham Knights?
Gotham Knights. It's called Gotham
Knights.
I actually
I don't
haven't
fucking
played
care.
it. I haven't played it, but I do know that there's an opening cinematic where Batman's like doing a dramatic fight and then he presumably dies. And that cutscene is so long that if you have auto sleep on your console, it will go dark during the cutscene, and you'll have to jiggle the sticks to make it brighten back up again. And I think that's the funniest fucking thing ever. It's such a long-ass cutscene for no fucking reason. You could easily break that up or make it interactive at the very least, but it's like a fucking 15-minute cutscene.
I actually, before I left, my sister's partner was playing the story mode of Guilty Gear Strive, and I say that with quotation marks. Do you know about the story of Guilty Gear Strive?
I don't know what Guilty Gear Strive is.
It's a fighting game. It's a Japanese fighting game.
So I don't care, but continue.
It's maybe in my top 3 favorite fighting games of all time.
MK?
It's definitely MK. And then
For
probably
Mortal Kombat, for those who don't know.
Yeah, it's probably Mortal Kombat X is probably my favorite Mortal Kombat.
MKX was really good.
And then it's probably Skullgirls.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
And then it is probably Guilty Gear Strive.
Skullgirls just gets points in my book for being so original and
It's great.
hand-drawn.
It's awesome. And for some reason, getting new characters. It got a new character today.
It's fine.
When did Skullgirls come out?
It's like a 7, 8, 9. It's almost 10-year-old game probably.
It came out on the
And
360.
it just got new content.
It stopped getting new content, and everybody was like, "Oh, this game is done." And then for some reason, they're like, "Hey, by the way, also, this character's coming out soon. Annie's coming out." And people went, "But why?" And then they went, "And also, there's a season pass where all 4 new DLC characters come out." And they went, 4? But
4 new ones?
how is this game not dead? And then they called it season 1 of DLC. So there could be more. And there was an initial DLC run of that game.
What a risky gambit creating DLC.
Incredibly risky.
Like all the players that joined when it first started are long gone. They probably just have a core audience of like 6 people. That's such a risky gambit.
I think they came back too. The Skullgirls is kind of popping off.
No, yeah. As a guy who's very, very lightly in the fighting game community, I've heard a lot of big players say Skullgirls is great, and it's one of their favorites to play.
Yeah, Skullgirls is legitimately like one of those games. It was August 22nd, 2013 was the first.
So it's almost literally 10 years ago.
Yeah. And they didn't admin that in the.
What else came out in 2013? I'm trying to think of like big games came out in like 2013.
Oh, but while you're thinking about that, the story I was going to tell about Guilty Gear Strive.
The Xbox One came out that year.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't imagine shit that came out launching on the Xbox One, like fucking Sunset Overdrive or like Rise. What was that?
I forgot about Rise.
Rise,
Son of Rome.
Son of Rome. I was trying to piece together the title. You knew it was in there. Can you imagine that game just keep getting DLC and updates all this time? That would have been fucking insane.
It's insane. I think it benefits from being a fighting game where like fighting game players really, really latch on to the game that they're playing, and like the communities like are kind of smaller because they're hard to get into, but like they're pretty tight.
That's always been my barrier with fighting games, is that it feels like it's a very high skill ceiling, but at the same time it's a very high barrier to entry.
Oh, it's super high barrier to entry. It's getting better.
You're either like with the other guys at the bar who just mash buttons on the arcade cabinets, or you're like Sonic Fox just sitting down and just wrecking people with like insane 90 million move combos that just eliminate your health bar and you can't do anything about it.
I went to Mortal Kombat tournaments thinking that I was good and got fucking trashed. I did win a game or two, but but like yeah, it is incredibly hard to be good at some of those games. They are getting easier. They're trying to make them more accessible. At least some of them are. Like I think you could probably pick up like the new Street Fighter and and like probably not. You definitely can don't grab Tekken. Don't grab Tekken.
No.
But like I've been playing a lot of DNF Duels, which is the same publisher as Guilty Gear, and that game is all like there's no difficult inputs like down, back, forward, something. It's all just forward A, forward B, back B, back A, and those are all the
jump kick.
Yeah, every single one of those is just a direction and a button, and that's all of them. So
that actually reminds me of some of the old Dragon Ball Z fighting games in which you could get simpler
Budokai
moves.
Tenkaichi. I played that game.
And a new one is coming out.
And
4.
you could get certain combos that had simplified inputs, which I think did like a little less damage.
Yeah, I have no idea. I didn't play those games, but
I can't fact check that either. I was like 6.
yeah,
I wasn't 6. I was like 10, 12.
But
Jeff, you've always been a 40-year-old man.
That's true.
But DNF Duels is another one that like
Very
came
excited
out.
for my new bed that's getting delivered this weekend.
I would like to reiterate that Jeff has always been a 40-year-old man.
Yeah, even when I was in high school with you guys, I was just a 40-year-old man walking into class being like, oh, fuck, I gotta pay my taxes.
Yeah, but DNF Duels is another one that like came out and it like this game came out and like fucking died instantly. And then recently they were like, here's a DLC character coming out and a bunch of new content, and we're changing like the systems of the game and everything. And people went, "You're making content for this game? What are you talking about? This game died on release, right?" And they're like, "No, we're gonna keep going." And it's like, okay.
I do love that. And like to bring it back to my Cyberpunk story, like Cyberpunk came out and it was really, really bad at launch, but CD Projekt Red put so much love into making it work, and now they have a massive single-player expansion coming out later this year with Idris Elba as like the star and model for the main character.
Himself.
And I'm just like, dude, that's such an insane fucking comeback story, and it's not uncommon anymore in video games. By the way,
Well,
it's not.
CD Projekt Red has a sort of a reputation on releasing buggy messes and then fixing them, and then they become good. That's sort of like their thing at this point.
I mean, it's, to be completely fair to a lot of people, it's also like Bethesda's thing.
it's pretty much most video game companies' thing.
A lot of companies release a thing and it's broken, and then they fix it because, I mean, you can only do so much.
Well, you want to know what wasn't broken on release?
Resident
The
Evil
Resident
4?
Evil 4 remake.
I knew it. Chris, let me ask you a very leading question. What have you been playing recently, buddy?
I've been playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Shut the fuck up! You son of a bitch!
That actually is not a joke. I have been playing that as well.
You know what's funny? I literally yesterday I finished the original Portal game for my fiance. She was playing it on the couch. I was watching her, and she got all the way to the last puzzle room, and she like couldn't figure out the last little bit of it. So she asked me to help her out, and I tried to not do it. I tried to just give her like little hints, but she's like, "No, just fucking do it, please." So I did, and then I get to the end where you're like going through the place trying to find Gladys, and she's like, "No, you play. I'm just gonna watch." And I was like, "Okay."
I was there. I congratulated her for it.
Yeah. We were signed into her Xbox account, so she got all those. She got the achievement for it.
Mm-hmm. So
I was
as
gonna
far
say,
as
Good
I know,
job,
she
Red.
did it.
Yeah, great job, honey. But Portal's really good, guys. Anyway, tell us about Resident Evil 4, because I remember, I think it was either you or another friend of mine tried to make me play Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. Tried to tell me that
It was not me.
Okay. Somebody, some friend of mine was like, "This game is really, really good. You got to play it." But the fucking like tank controls and the fact that I like couldn't fire and move at the same time really rubbed me the wrong way, and I just completely disregarded it. And now that the remake's out and it's getting like 10 out of 10 reviews, I'm like, all right, what's all the fuss about? So please, Chris, enlighten us. What is all the fuss about?
Yep. So Resident Evil 4 originally came out back in 2005. Recently, Capcom, the producer and publisher and developer, has been remaking those older games, including Resident Evil 4. The original was... It developed a lot of modern systems that you see in a lot of third-person shooters nowadays.
I love how you very carefully stepped around that sentence. Good job, buddy.
And is regarded as one of the greatest games of all times and a defining game in the industry. And then they remade it. And they made it fucking better?
I mean, it happens. It does happen. But, like, holy goddamn shit. Every single video game person I follow on, like, Twitter and YouTube has not shut up about how great this is. I think IGN literally gave it a 10 out of 10. And they've only have given out, I think, a couple dozen of those ever since, like, 1998. So that's actually pretty high fucking praise. So I was like, all right, this is ridiculous. It can't be that good.
So there are some differences from the original. They have polished up the gameplay, they've tightened up the story, and connected it back to some of the previous entries.
Oh, like the movie with Mila Jovanovic?
Shut the fuck up. And they made actually the biggest meme shitpost of a character who's the trope equivalent of damsel in distress to a fucking T.
Leon!
And they made her... Exactly. And they made her a fully fleshed out, likable, reasonable character, and it's great. Full fucking 180.
The only Ashley story I know of, that's the girl in the game that Chris was talking about, is that I was listening to a very old Rooster Teeth podcast where Michael was talking about how he perfected that game and beat it on the hardest difficulty because he apparently unlocked a suit of armor for Ashley, so the zombies couldn't carry her away, but they would try. So they would go over and try to pick her up, and then they would just fall over, and he would just go stab them and then go hide behind a dumpster and just wait for the zombies to come and pick her up, and then he would stab them and go hide by the dumpster until the area was clear, and then he would just walk to the exit, and he did that for the whole fucking game. And I was
you
like,
can still fucking do that. The armor is still in the game.
That's a pretty good strat. Pretty good strat.
It is amazing how much from the original they put in and improved on. Like, I cannot sing this game's praises enough. I've played it 3 times already, and it's been out for less than a week.
With reboots being so, I guess, common in today's video game culture and movie culture, when's the last video game reboot we can think of that did, like, as well as this? No, I don't want to say as well as this, because this is a pretty impossible standard.
Other than other Resident Evil games.
Yeah, they redid Resident Evil
2.
They redid Resi 2, and apparently that was really good. I think they also redid Resi 0.
No, they did Resident Evil 3, and that was less well-liked because they changed up a lot of stuff, and it was made by a secondary studio, so it was not given the same amount of care.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
It's still a very good game, but it's annoyed some of the Resident Evil community.
The thing that springs to my mind first, because I have a very strong bias, is that Gears of War got a complete remake when the Xbox One came out. The original Gears of War got the Ultimate Edition remake that came out, and it was fucking spectacular. And they added in some deleted content from the original game that got cut for time. They put it back in seamlessly in the story. And it was the original Gears we all knew and loved, but they had redone all of the visuals from the ground up. They had resynced the mouths on the characters for voice acting, because that was a big complaint in the original games, because they fucking sucked. But that game was tight. The game was real fucking tight when the relaunch came out.
So that would be a remaster, not a remake.
Yeah, but
I mean, they I guess so. But they did,
because if you look at Resident Evil 4 from 2005 to 2023, they are completely different. They play completely differently.
I'm forgetting the fucking remake that I just finished Christmas time the past few months ago. Fucking Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy VII remake got remade, and it's going to be a fucking trilogy because it's so big and fleshed out and massive, and it looks fucking gorgeous. We're running it on a bog standard PS4 on my 4K TV, and it still looks incredible. And we're playing through this game, my fiance and I, Resident Evil. I keep wanting to say Resi. Final Fantasy VII remake, and we get all the way to the end, and it's a cliffhanger, and I'm like, wait, what? And she was like, yeah, that's like the first hour of the game back from 98, but they really turned it into a giant 70-hour experience. And I'm like,
yep.
What? And she was like, yeah, So they've got a lot to go for. And I'm like, excuse me? So I dug around a bit. Part 2 comes out this Christmas, PS5 only, so I have to get a PS5. And
Fuck, so do I.
yeah. And then apparently they're like, 2 might be the end, but don't count on it. It's probably going to be a trilogy. And I'm like, what? That's insane to me. They're putting so much love and passion into this game that literally came out fucking 3 years after I was born. And they're turning it into a fucking massive open world trilogy when it was originally like a fucking 40, 60 hour RPG that you ran on your PS1 in your mom's basement. And I'm like, Jesus, this is insane to me. That is a true remake because the story just completely branches and takes a whole different path. On purpose, and it's just absolutely incredible. And I'm so thrilled with everything that's going on. And then Crisis Core came out in, I want to say January. It may have come out December, right before Christmas. But that was a prequel to Final Fantasy VII that came out only on the PSP, and it just came out on the PlayStation 4 and 5. The PSP, as my cat would say.
Crisis Core, fantastic game.
Oh yeah, and like we played through that when it came out too because we were already invested in the Final Fantasy VII universe. So of course I gotta find out who the fuck Zack is, and then we're playing through Crisis Core, and like you can tell from the combat, it's still PSP combat. You're just holding a PlayStation 4 controller, and the world is very much still a PlayStation portable world with like obvious just dotted lines that are the world boundary, and it's like you can't go there, and it's like, oh right, PSP technology. But like it looks good, it's smooth. The cutscenes are where it's at though. The cutscenes are like a fucking 3D Ghibli movie. Everything looks perfect. It looks so fucking well done, and it's just it's an absolute labor of love. I absolutely enjoyed playing every minute of those games, and I didn't give a fuck about Final Fantasy this time last year. And now I'm super invested. I can't wait for Final Fantasy VII Part 2.
And we know you're affinity for collector's editions.
Not anymore.
Also coming out this year is Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah. So my fiance has no interest in that, so we're probably not going to play it. Because, because I don't know, she really played the fuck out of 7 and 9 when she was a kid, so those are like the big ones for her. And there's a rumor that 9's getting like the 7 remake treatment. It's just gonna take a long time, which I'm completely on board with because we actually played through 9 on her PlayStation 4. I think like the classic one is like available on your PlayStation 4, and I did the fucking chocobo races for her. Fuck those fucking chocobo races, man. Jesus Christ. Those are the dumbest fucking things in the whole fucking world, but I fucking did them. And you know why I did them, Troy?
Why'd you do them, Jeff?
Because when you beat all of them and you have the best times, you get an item. And you have to use that item in like a specific area with a specific person to get an upgrade to a specific weapon that allows you to take on a bigger, badder optional boss. And when you beat them, you get a different item that allows you to upgrade your gear slightly better, and then you can go take on a different, harder optional boss. I don't understand. They're optional.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I've been playing Elden Ring.
Yeah. So
that's the whole game.
So I don't know much about Elden Ring other than there's a lady that I gotta beat wearing no armor and a bucket on my head.
You don't have to.
Just
one guy
you
who
call
does
upon you call upon the person with the bucket on their head, and it's a pot, you fucking heathen.
Again, I know nothing.
Yeah. So I
Lady Miranda or something? No, that's Resident Evil.
You're thinking it's Melania.
Melania
is the one who's supposed to be the hardest boss in
cool.
basically any Souls game.
I know that
as I've heard, I haven't played any.
I know that
Souls
George
game.
R.R. Martin was like in the room when the game got discussed and he sneezed. So like, oh, he contributed.
But he did sneeze on the script.
Did he?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
there's a sword that looks like the Iron Throne.
Oh, cool.
Does
that mean that he contributed that?
It could be. I don't know. Who knows?
I heard that he was a contributor.
I don't think that they ever really said what he did.
Apparently he did next to nothing.
Is that true, or
Are you making shit up, Jeff?
Is that speculation?
Are you telling lies on the internet?
Not on purpose, but like when the game came out, I was like, "Oh, the George R. R. Martin game." And then every video game reviewer was like, "Nah, not really a George R. R. Martin game. I don't think he did much to it." But however,
I mean,
From Software did a great job with this thing.
I mean, I'll be honest, and I cannot tell you if there's any like George R. R. Martin sort of tropes in this, because man, I haven't really played FromSoft games, and I've heard that they are all sort of like this. I did not get through the dialogue.
Okay.
I really mashed through.
So just to clarify everything, so that I'm not lying on the internet, From Software asked George R. R. Martin to help develop the backstory of the game. He says, quote, "So I went back and wrote a history of what happened 5,000 years before the current game, and who all the characters were, and who was killing each other, and what powers they had." End quote.
Okay, that's not nothing. That's like most
That's
of the
world
game's
building.
backstory.
Yeah, world building is definitely important stuff. The players don't necessarily feel it unless you're like digging into it.
I'll
So,
tell you
like,
this: I felt nothing because I walked into a room and I saw a big guy with a big hammer and I killed him, and then I went, "Okay, next thing, next room now," and that's how I played the game.
That's how I think that's how most people play From Software games.
Oh, you do not have any idea what you're talking about. This game,
Most
fucking,
people I know
Jeff.
that have played From Software
when I
games.
tell that to people fly into a rage of they're like, "Oh, you didn't talk to Gideon, and did you didn't feel bad when you fought Gideon in the final room or whatever?" And I'm just like, no, he was a guy, and he annoyed me when he shot me with 10,000 lightning bolts.
Literally, like all the friends I have that have played From Software games, I ask them like, "Oh, what's all the story about?" They're like, "I don't know. I just go
I
in
have
rooms and
no
kill things."
fucking clue what happened. I beat the whole game.
Yeah,
I have 120 hours in it.
and you have no
And
clue.
I have made multiple characters now. I beat the game and I started making 1,000 saves. And I still have no fucking clue what happened. I keep going through the game story now.
And then you keep beating that weird like galaxy tentacle-y monster at the end.
Yeah, no, I haven't beat him a second time yet, but I beat him the first time. He's maybe the worst boss in the game. The final boss is like the most boring boss. He
So
just
I
kind
hear.
of runs away from you and has a lot of health.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
And attacks you with a lot of long range attacks.
Yeah, he just shoots you with a lot of beams, but they're not that hard to dodge. But then you have to run a country fucking mile to get to him again. But I need to stop talking negative. I do actually fucking love this game. It's like, I mean, I don't want to. Elden Ring is a game that everybody's talked about at this point. But I was really, really worried going in because I like played like 10 seconds of Dark Souls 1 and was like, I already feel like this is not for me. And I remember my my roommate at the time was playing, and I was just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. And I like played for like a few minutes, and then like a few more minutes went by, and I was still playing, and then like an hour went by, and I was still playing. And we were
And
doing
then all of a sudden it's 3 a.m.
we were doing that thing where that the Xbox One can do, where you can like share libraries and be playing games at the same time. And they wanted to play on it, so I had to stop. And I was like, man, I kind of don't want to stop playing Elden Ring. And I was like, I think this is a sign that I should buy Elden Ring. And then I bought it. And I haven't really found a whole lot of games that I have wanted to play recently. And it has all just been Elden Ring. Like, literally, for the last, like, year, it has been nothing but Elden Ring. Which is why I'm excited for Jedi Survivor, because I feel like it's, like, a good jumping-off point into a more casual version of that type of game.
Did you play Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't
yeah, I
remember.
beat
As did I.
And I'm very excited for that game.
Did you pre-order to get your Obi-Wan Kenobi robes?
I
and
did not.
lightsaber.
I did not pre-order it. However, I don't have an Xbox Series X or S yet.
Oh yeah, right.
But especially for if we're doing this now every month, I may do that soon in time for that game.
I feel like you don't care enough to get an X. You'll probably just get.
No,
an
I'll
S.
get the S.
Yeah.
And
And
I
then
have-
Chris is PC Master Race, so he's laughing at us.
Yeah, I could do
Actually,
it on that.
I play on all consoles and PC. Go fuck yourself, Jeffrey.
Could you have said that more condescendingly? That would have been great.
Jeff, you don't know how condescending I can be.
Oh, I don't, huh?
Yeah, Jeff. That's why just yesterday, I grinded up a bunch of gamer score to surpass you.
I don't care.
You fucking
I used
loser.
to. I used to
cares.
care
Look
a
at
lot.
him. Look at him. He's sweating.
I used
he's
to
crying.
care a lot. Honestly,
Everybody at home, he's
Jeff,
crying. He's
Jeff,
tearing
you
up.
sent out a group text when you got above 100K gamer score.
because I was the first in the group to do it.
I like to think that was the day he stopped caring.
You're not wrong. But like at the same time, like I play I've grown up to the point where I play games for fun, and if I'm not having fun, I stop playing. Like the new Hot Wheels game came to Game Pass, and it's a really 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 good idea. It's a bunch of Hot Wheels tracks in like giant house looking rooms, like you're in a basement or like a living room, but there's the orange tracks everywhere you're driving on. You gotta drive on the carpet. Like it's a really fun idea. There's a lot of loot boxes to get the cars, and even the DLC cars are good, but like there's so many that are locked behind loot boxes. And I was like, okay, maybe I can handle this. That's okay. And then I went to play a race, and the fucking driving mechanic sucks.
Oh my god.
It's the worst
Really?
racing game I've
That's
ever
the
played.
first thing that you have to do.
It's a racing game. You better fucking...
That's the only thing you have to do.
Yeah. So when it comes to, hit the gas and brake, it should feel good. And it doesn't. It felt like I was driving on ice. It felt so bad with poor handling. And I was using one of the DLC cars that had max stats in every column. This should have been the best car in the game, and it felt like shit. I fucking hated it. And I was like, fuck, man. Can you imagine being a kid who got this game and doesn't have the DLC cars? Because, he doesn't have money or Game Pass? Like, this game must fucking suck. And then there's, like, a basement that you have that you can, like, decorate with different wallpapers and rugs and furnishings. And it's like, okay.
How much is that? How much, like, of that is paid for real money?
A lot. A lot of it. I, thankfully, with the Game Pass edition, I had all the DLCs for free. One of them is a DC Comics one. Mm-hmm. So my whole basement, I just turned into Batman-themed, everything. Which was great. It looks good.
Just like real life.
I wish I had a basement. That's exactly what I would do with it. But, like, I was like, okay, that's cool, I guess. But, like, besides the basic A and B options, everything else costs money, or I have to grind to unlock it. And this isn't fun to race in. It's just not fun. And, like, you can get stuck pretty easily going, because there's sections where the track ends and you're driving on the carpet, and then you have to get back on the track. And getting back on the track can be a little finicky if you don't hit it just right. So, like, if you get stuck, you're in last place, and you have to respawn your car, and you lost all your momentum. And it fucking sucks, man. It's so bad to play, and I was so disappointed because I love Hot Wheels. I've got 7 Hot Wheels on my desk at work. I've got so many little fucking cars just sitting on the cinder block that my computer monitors sit on. And it's just...
Which is your favorite one?
The Batman Arkham Asylum Batmobile.
That checks. I didn't need to... I didn't need to...
Of the 7, 4 of them are Batmobiles. I have a gold and purple variant of Adam West's Batmobile. I have a purple variant of the Arkham Asylum Batmobile. I have Pattinson's Batmobile.
Sure.
And then I have animated series Batmobile, which is awesome because it's, like, super long.
Are you a Tumblr hater?
A little bit.
Okay.
It's my most disliked Batmobile.
I can see that. That makes
but
sense.
I don't think I hate any of them.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
Okay. My favorite by far is Pattinson's, I think. Either Pattinson's or Arkham Knight.
Pattinson's is too much of a car for me. And I understand that that's what it's supposed to be.
That's all Batmobile was ever supposed to be in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I like it because it's a more modern
It wasn't
take.
supposed to be an APC.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not supposed to be a tank.
No, I like
Batman doesn't go to war.
I like more animated series or Keaton where it's just like a jet engine.
I like the animated series because it's very stylized, but it's fucking long. You can't turn on a city street in that thing.
You can't parallel park with that thing without being a colossal asshole.
I would fucking love a long-going scene of Batman trying to parallel park that thing. It would be fantastic.
No, he would have that fucking shit that like modern Fords have, where you just press a button and it parallel parks itself.
Okay, so what you do is you have him not in the Batmobile and like dick is riding the Batmobile, and he's just like, well, and then he tries to parallel park it and can't do it because he's not Batman.
I feel like Batman or even Bruce Wayne doesn't go anywhere where he can't throw his keys to a valet. There's no way Bruce Wayne goes anywhere where he doesn't just park like an asshole and throw
Bruce
his
Wayne,
keys at
Batman.
the valet. Batman drives the Batmobile. You park it wherever.
But
Who's going to fucking
Batman-
ticket the Batmobile?
That would be funny.
Who
too.
puts a ticket on the Batmobile?
This is all I know is that this is the Batman that I want.
Canonically, most Batmobiles have like an electromagnetic field where if you touch it, you get zapped. Go ahead. Try to ticket me, motherfucker. See what happens.
I would love if he came back to that movie when it was ticketed, though.
I mean, he came back
Do you think he would show up to traffic court?
Does he show up as
Do you
Bruce
think
Wayne
he
or
would try and
Batman?
argue it?
Does he show up as Bruce Wayne and go, on behalf of Batman, I, Bruce Wayne, am here? Or is he show up in full suit?
That makes me wonder if Batman has like a legal counsel that like represents him in the real world. Because there's no way it is Bruce Wayne. It would just be an umbrella corporation or something.
Does the Justice League have a legal counsel?
I would assume so.
They should have one lawyer.
Are you telling me no DC superhero has been sued?
I was gonna say, in the modern age of comics, with like the Wakanda Accords being such a big thing back in the '90s, I feel like DC had to have jumped on that bandwagon.
Is there a DC lawyer? There's plenty of Marvel lawyers.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lawyers, but I'm wondering, like, is there a certain equivalent to like the Wakanda Accords where
Yeah.
it's like you have to be accountable and they have to have some sort of counsel or way for the people to talk to you, and you have a representative.
There's probably at least some
Troy,
sort of-
why aren't you nerdier?
I'm sorry. I really fell off of comic books for a while now. But you know,
Speaking of falling off, this is falling off the goddamn rails. I want to bring this
Just like
to-
movie podcast, we can't talk about video games for 5 minutes.
We really can't. We got off on a bad tangent. So just to reel it back in, I'm gonna. What are we most excited for coming out soon? So obviously we have Jedi Survivor.
Sure.
It's the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is the single-player Dark Souls-ish game where you play as Cal Kestis, Jedi Survivor. He was a survivor of Order 66, and he grew up, and now he's a big old Jedi man, and he's got a scruffy beard.
Looks
and
like a lot of the game is Coruscant.
I'm all for it. I fucking love Coruscant. I wonder if
I mean, they'll planet hop. Because
No.
they do in the
hang
last-
on.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
wondering-
absolutely going to be more.
I'm
Go ahead.
wondering if the Star Wars conglomerate at Disney is so good at their jobs that the reason we got more Coruscant in Mando is to further hype up Jedi Survivor. So that when we see Coruscant, it's like, oh yeah! Like, I'm wondering if there's some crossover there.
I mean, I think Coruscant.
Well, they're set in two very big different times. One's during the Republic, and one's during the Empire.
One's during the New Republic, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Yes. It's still a Republic, Jeffrey.
It's a Republic. It's not the Republic. That implies prequels.
He's actually
Anyway.
not wrong. I can't fight him on that one.
I'm technically correct, which is the best kind of correct.
But I would say
Aside Jedi Survivor, what are you most excited for?
I think even more than Jedi Survivor, it's between two.
If
I'm
you say
gonna
Suicide
say-
Squad, I'm going to slap the shit out of you.
It is not Suicide Squad kills the Justice League.
Good.
I was really excited for Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League
It's so fucking sad,
until I
dude.
saw all the leaks about it and how it's basically just a fucking terrible
It's
Destiny
incredible
wannabe.
how like crazy bad it looks.
It looks so bad. man.
they looked at Marvel Avengers and said, "Hey, we can do that."
And then
it
Marvel
was only-
Avengers is currently shutting down, and
It's shutting down way before their like 5-year content plan ever even like took off.
I liked
Was
when
it,
they
was
released.
it meant to be like a 10-year content plan?
It was supposed to be.
They
something
said
like
it was
that.
going to be like a 10-year game, but they had a map for like 2 to 5 years of content.
I liked when they released Hawkeye, and then they released another Hawkeye as DLC. There's 2 DLCs later, almost back to back, that were both Hawkeye.
And it's like one is just him without the cape, right?
No, one was Kate Bishop,
Okay.
but they're both bow and arrow Hawkeye people.
Yep.
But the game that I am most excited for, I am between two. I'm going to say Street Fighter 6. It was between that and Tekken 8.
Oh God! Of course, it's a fighting game.
I mean, that's what I play, baby.
That's all right. That's all right. That's why I have you around.
Yeah, my fighting game corner. We should get me a sound effect. We should get like what's a good sound effect?
Finish him.
I was gonna say Scorpion. Get over here into the fighting.
Get
game.
over here.
Never.
Yeah.
Here comes a new challenger.
Yep. Oh God, the Tekken 8 has this announcer in all the trailers.
This just
that I
in.
hope is
You
not.
suck.
Yo, Lowe's.
But I think I'm more excited for Street Fighter than I am Tekken because I play pretty much every fighting game. I have never fully sat down and played and bought a Street Fighter. And Street Fighter seems like the fighting game.
Yeah, it's
It
like
was
Street
like
Fighter and
the
Mortal
original
Kombat
fighting-
are like the original two daddies, right?
Yeah, well, it was Street Fighter Street Fighter wasn't first. It wasn't like the first fighting game, but it's like the first one that had like insane popularity.
It's the first one where kids were like putting quarters on the machine to reserve spots.
It's the one that everybody copied afterwards.
right.
And then Mortal Kombat tried to like compete with it, and Mortal Kombat's like the biggest American fighting game. Although I think X and 11 are like the two highest grossing fighting games of all time.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
No. And I have always been a Mortal Kombat person, and for some reason never tried Street Fighter. And Street Fighter 6 looks so fucking sick that I cannot not play it. And I will absolutely buy Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, and Mortal Kombat 12 this year and just kind of play them tossed around. And also there's new characters in Skullgirls, and also they're coming out with content for Guilty Gear and DNF Duels for some reason. So I am set for fighting games for a while.
Troy is throwing their money all around the industry.
Well, I've already bought 3
You
of
put
those
out
games.
a fighting game, they'll buy it.
I will absolutely buy it.
Doesn't have to be good.
No.
It
Could
should
be a
probably
fucking stick
it should
fight
probably be
game.
good. It probably has to be good. I mean, DNF Duels was messy, but it was still good. But actually, you know which game I won't buy? There's a game on Steam. Well, it's on everything, but I have it on my Steam wish list. But I will not buy Melty Blood Type Lumina for a certain amount of money. You don't know what that is.
Neither of us know what that is.
It is like an anime fighting game where they're all like vampires. And I was like, okay, they're anime vampires. Like, all the designs are going to be sick. If you look at them, they're all just fucking guys. All of them are just fucking guys who were in, like, fucking t-shirts. And I'm just like, what? How are they all boring? How is every fucking character boring? And I will...
You had one job.
So it looks like a good fighting game, so I'll buy it if it's, like, real cheap. But I have not bought it yet. Street Fighter 6, though, I am all in on. I think the reason I'm more excited than Tekken 8 is because they have shown off, I think, all the characters now. And Tekken, they haven't hit like my big characters yet, so I haven't reached that excitement of like, oh, I can play like Lee and Steve and Asuka now.
I don't have that problem as a Mortal Kombat enjoyer because
Sub-Zero's in every game.
Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero's my guy.
I play Scorpion, so he's on the cover of them.
So is Sub-Zero.
Sometimes. He's not on X or 11. But you know he's in there.
Are you sure?
Yeah, the only one that he's on the cover of in the most recent 3 is 9. Because they're both on that one. But X is just Scorpion, 9 is just, or 11 is just Scorpion.
Interesting.
But like Street Fighter 5 was very messy when it came out. Do you remember that?
I do.
It
People
had,
hated it.
Yeah, it didn't have a whole lot of characters. It didn't have single player content at all. If you went through the ladder and just like beat the final boss, it would just be like, and you did it, and it would just show like a JPEG of your character, and it'll be like, and then there's credits, and it's like, but there's no like ending or anything. You couldn't like play offline in like a meaningful way to like actually practice it all. It was like a practice mode and like online. And then they like fixed it, and like later on it's like a great fighting game now, and people like it a lot, and it has tons of characters and story modes and arcade ladders and stuff. But like it started off real rough. this game looked at all that and just went, okay, there's like 15 mini games and a story mode, and
It's like how Nintendo made the best console ever with the Wii,
100%.
and then they misstepped with the Wii U, and then they came back with the Switch,
And-
which is the best console ever.
And I will probably be a person who doesn't really play any of that single player content. Like, I'll dabble in it a little bit, but I'm just gonna play online matches. But like you were saying before, with like the high barrier of entry, that's the type of stuff that like gets people to play those games. People who like don't want to dedicate 10 hours of their day to fucking getting good at Ryu. But I am very excited to get into a new fighting game called Street Fighter that for some reason I have never touched.
Interesting. Well, that's I'm excited for you, bud. Chris, what are you excited for?
So, in stark contrast to Troy wanting to get a bunch of fighting games, I'm torn between 2 Bethesda games.
I
And
am
so
also
I say-
in the camp of single player adventures myself.
Yes, so I will say my biggest hype for this year is Starfield.
Fuck yeah, dude, that was on my list. So excited for Space Skyrim.
I have a question about Starfield, and I'm probably gonna buy it.
you don't need to. It's
Uh-huh.
on Game Pass.
I don't have Game Pass.
Get Game Pass when you get your
Loser.
Series S.
I don't know. I just never. I don't play as many games. Like I don't feel like I.
You could if you had access to them.
But do I want to? I don't know. But
Yes,
that's my whole
you
thing.
do.
I'll maybe do it specifically because of this podcast now. But I don't know. I'll see.
They run specials all the time where your first month is like $1.
Yeah, no, I get it. And
They
it's a good
throw
deal.
Game Pass to
It's-
literally every chance they get. I
It
bought a
is-
laptop to say, hey, you want like a year of Game Pass for free?
Do not get me wrong. It is an incredible deal. I just play like 3 games on rotation, so I just haven't had a need for it yet.
That's fair.
And whenever new stuff's come out, I just haven't been excited to play it. But what was I gonna say before that? Oh,
About
but
Starfield.
I'll probably get Starfield. What is your threshold? How buggy should it be? Like how Bethesda-y should
Do
it
you
be?
remember when Skyrim came out and you could go to that one town with all the sick people on the river, and there was like a hidden chest in the rocks with a whole bunch
Yep.
of high-level gear?
Mhm.
That's how buggy I want it to be.
You want it to be buggy. You want it to be super buggy.
It's Bethesda. If
Or
it's
at least,
not
like, fun
buggy,
buggy.
they're not doing it.
You
I
don't.
wanna be
You
fun
obviously don't want
buggy.
you don't want the game to crash.
I want to talk to an NPC, and then when he turns to walk away, he T-poses and floats away. Like, I want fun bugs that make me giggle, and not bugs where it's like, oh, you actually can't finish this quest because that map that points to that armor piece doesn't exist right now because the guy who had it, he actually died off screen. So you just can never finish that quest. It's going to stay
Right.
open in your logbook forever. It's like, fuck that!
Chris, do you have an answer to that?
I want it to. I don't want it to like affect my gameplay at all. I just want it to be hilarious. So I want NPCs to have their heads rotate 360 degrees while I'm talking to them, and I want them to rotate vertically, so I see into their neck as it just spins slowly around.
Or I want to be able to do that trick from early Skyrim where you can just put a bucket on a shopkeeper's head and then just steal whatever you want and then walk away.
What do you mean early Skyrim? You can still do that.
You can still do
Wait,
that.
that never
yeah.
got patched?
No, absolutely not.
I really thought
that
they
is
got
not
patched.
that is not a bug. That is a feature.
So I bring that up because
Fuck you, Bellathor!
I bring that up because I controversially kind of am like, I think I might be over it. I think I might be in the camp of like, I would actually just like this to be good, please. Like it can have some of that stuff, but I
Well,
feel like
I don't want any game-breaking
Yeah, yeah,
bugs or like any bugs that would like hinder my progress. But if it's like funny, sure.
I feel like it's not charming enough for me anymore. It might just be me though. I feel like that's a controversial opinion.
I think it's just you.
It could just be me.
It's
That's
also,
totally fine if it's just me.
It's Bethesda. It's kind of like their seal of approval.
Yeah. I just don't know. I don't know if it's what I want, but
This also is like
I'm buying it either way.
this is also the most like buckle down serious like business time I've ever seen Bethesda. They've pushed this game many times now just to make sure it's perfect. I'm still not planning on it coming out in September. I really think it's going to get pushed again, maybe to Christmas. But that's just like
there is in between planets flying, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I was
So, yeah.
waiting. I wanted to see.
There's a lot of ambitious stuff, and they've got the hardware to do it. This is the first game they'll have built for the new generation. So I'm curious to see if Todd Howard and company can pull it off. But even when they did the Fallout 4,
a lot of this production has fallen under when they got purchased out by Microsoft.
Yep.
Yep. That's the other thing. They got
the
Daddy,
standard is a
Microsoft.
lot higher.
Yeah, somebody can come around and be like, "Yeah, do not do that to the game." And they're like, "Oh, but it's fun and buggy," and they're just looming over them, and just go, "No."
Yeah,
Take it out.
It feels like Todd Howard could be like, "Hey, this won't be in the final game, right?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, don't worry, Todd." But now that you've got like Phil Spencer there, it's like, "This won't be in the final game, right?" And that's like, "No, sir."
But we also, but it's interesting.
It's
we
okay.
also don't know
It just
that.
works.
It's interesting though because we also don't know that because it could come out and be this game could be anything at launch.
It could, but here's my thing.
They released Halo Infinite in its state, and boy, did the internet rip them a new one.
Halo Infinite for 1 month was the greatest game in the world, and then 1-2 rolled around.
Yeah. But I will say, this is the first Bethesda game they've released first party since the Microsoft buyout. I feel like Phil's gonna be up their ass to make this like really make them look good. And it's like, hey, this is what we can do if we are behind your company and we bankroll your project. We could also help you make your Starfield. And like, even if there are people that are still on the fence about the ActiBliz merger, I feel like all of those doubters will be silenced if Starfield comes out the gate swinging. Like a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. If this game comes out...
I hope to
great.
God Microsoft purchases Activision Blizzard, because then I can play Diablo 4 with a clear conscience. At least until the next scandal comes out.
Yeah, you're giving them a lot of faith.
As a guy who genuinely plays Call of Duty games for the story, I just want to not have to buy them anymore. I would love for them to be on Game Pass. That's all I want.
No, it's very. I mean, that's an interesting one because it's very pro-consumer at the moment. And then everybody's like, yeah, but what about like 10 years from now? And I don't think anybody is like, yeah, giant companies buying each other is cool, but I think that most people right now are looking at it and going, yeah, but this one's probably okay, right?
I mean, even if...
a lot of the reason for that is because of Phil Spencer, because he has done such a phenomenal job with Xbox, both as a brand and a platform.
Right.
I also, I was reading something. If Xbox purchases Activision Blizzard, they will still be the third biggest video game company behind Sony.
Yeah.
Like, Sony will still be bigger than them if they buy up Activision Blizzard.
Who's the other one?
I think it's Nintendo.
That makes sense.
I think it's Nintendo, Sony, and then Xbox.
Okay. I thought you meant I thought you were talking about like company. Like, they are companies, but I thought you were talking about more like developers.
I don't remember exactly the quote. It was on Reddit.
Yeah,
but I do know that Sony.
Because I would have a hard time if you believing if you threw like a Ubisoft in there or something like that.
Yeah, no. But then there's the other thing where it's like Sony has the opportunity to kill this if they're smart, but they're not. They just keep going about this, whining about how it's bad for them, and not presenting an argument on how it could be bad for the consumer.
That's the insane thing about how, like, PlayStation they're in a position where they're like, hey, consumers, do you guys really like it when, like, you know, rampant capitalism happens and companies, huge mega companies, buy huge mega companies? And that seems like a thing that is an easy W, like a fucking slam dunk. And they really do seem like they're just like whining, and it's just like, how do you come off as like the idiot here?
You're one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world, and you sound like the whiniest bitch at a college party.
And you're not even it's not like you have. There's an argument in there for sure. Like there's like 9.
One of the arguments is that Xbox plans to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for the next 10 years. They've already gone back on their word on saying, like, oh, Bethesda releases are still going to come to PlayStation.
Yep.
that didn't happen because Starfield's Xbox exclusive.
I mean, Starfield wasn't Xbox exclusive until this year, though.
I mean, that's
Yes,
still
that's what
not
I'm
10
saying.
years, though.
It's not, but I feel like it was retaliatory against Sony because of this. I feel like it's like, hey, you want to play hardball? Great. Now you don't get Starfield. How do you feel about
But
that?
if anything, that just strengthens Sony's argument.
It would if they would stop whining and just actually make a fucking point. I don't know. Listen. Nobody hates capitalist pigs more than this motherfucker, okay? I'm a punk rocker at heart. I have t-shirts that have dead cops on them, all right? It's fine. Everything's great. The world sucks. Let's
Yeah, I was
move
gonna
on.
say, not everything's great.
No.
Oh,
Everything sucks.
My other Bethesda game is Redfall.
Redfall,
that
I'm
is-
also excited for.
Yes, that is the one by Arcane Studios, the makers of Prey
Dishonored
and
Prey.
Deathloop.
Yep. Don't you besmirch Dishonored.
Yeah, I forgot about them. Wow. Despite the fact that I played both games. It just wasn't on my mind.
There are 3 Dishonored games. Did you not play Death of the Outsider?
Okay, Jeffrey, why don't you just shut the fuck up?
I keep playing 2, and I keep liking 2, and then I'm like, time to go play more 2, and then my body doesn't do it, and I don't know what it is, and then I restart the whole game like months later.
I think that's it. You guys, Chris especially, I guess, because I don't care about Street Fighter or Tekken. You already said the games that I was looking forward to that I care about most. So I don't really have much else to add. It's going to be an exciting year for games. As a popular YouTube channel outside Xbox would say, games are back, guys. Games are back.
This might be the biggest year for games since, I don't know, like 2014.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big. Pretty big. So yeah, we're gonna do this video game podcast maybe once a month, maybe more if we like doing it and there's stuff to talk about. Maybe less if nobody listens.
And we're going to talk about video games more than E3 will.
Because there is no E3. That's the joke, isn't it?
Yep.
Great job. All right. It is late. I need to go to bed because I wake up early in the mornings because I'm an adult with a job. But thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, leave a kind review, do all the fun things, and we'll catch you next time.